That was something. CIG had a pretty big day today. I think that they really hit a lot of things out of the park. They should be pretty happy with themselves. We started off the day with an in-depth look at Genesis, which seemed to be the only thing that did not have the word star in the name, just Genesis, which was kind of odd, given that literally the clothing is still called Starwear. But Genesis? Anyways, it was really cool. That was probably one of the highlights for me, actually, because when they start showing this expanding view as we get farther away from the planet of just how many locations are going to be on a planetary surface, there is a lot more content coming to Star Citizen than we thought. That is probably the highlight for me. At least of that part. It's kind of hard to pick a favorite because there was so much going on today. Another great highlight of the Brave New Worlds presentation was the weather system. It looks fantastic. You have clouds forming dynamically and then clustering together to create a storm structure. And then you have this incredible rain and lightning, and the thunder sounded amazing. The ambiance was spot on. I mean, it was so unreal to watch this in real time. It was very, very cool. Then we got to look at a bit of lighting improvements. Again, really cool. Ray tracing really adds a extra bit of flavor to everything that we see in game. A lot of the overexposed or smeary or flat colors that we see in Star Citizen, a lot of that is due to the lighting just not behaving the way that we expect it to. But I think that with proper global illumination, we'll see a lot of the Star Citizen-ness bad graphic aspects disappear. They gave a really great demo, which hopefully I've got on screen right now, of the old global illumination versus the new global illumination, showing just how much more contrast you can get by having all these mini probes deployed to detect the data that they need to render things properly. It's very impressive. We saw some great cosplay from members of the community. There were some really cool costumes. Obviously not as pertinent to the actual game development, but it's really cool to see how creative our community members are. We've got a lot of great folks out there. Dress to Kill, kind of a underdog in my mind. It started off, honestly, I think a little slow, because they're talking about armor and armor diversity, and that, very important. But just the way it was presented, I felt a little underwhelming, but the implications are actually really big. And then it ended with a worm fight. The friend from the legendary friend from Citizencon past was a Valakar worm in Monox, and we're going to get to fight these in Pyro. As they went through the presentations, you could tell that they have a much bigger focus on how we're going to use these encounters to advance ourselves in the universe. With the Valakar worm, it drops pearls and teeth, and those are both crafting resources, and you would see that badge crafting on just about everything. Very, very cool. The specializations that they talked about with armor, also really neat. They talked a lot about how these are going to be things that you earn in the game, not on the pledge store, which we heard a lot about that last year, so I'm a little skeptical, but they're saying all the right things. And if that comes to fruition, I'll be very happy. I can't believe I just glossed over Social Universe. That was also really important. Not the flashiest presentation. And that's kind of the tough part. But this is probably the thing that's going to impact our gameplay the most out of everything. Because how we interact with other people is foundational to everything that you do. How do you find players to play with? How do you find groups that think the way you do, that want to do the things you want to do? I mean, how many times are you playing Star Citizen and you see someone ask in chat, anybody need a gunner? Or anybody doing Xenothreat? Siege of Orison? You know, there's constant messages of people struggling to find people to play with. And everything in the Social Universe presentation is how we solve that problem. I made a video not too long ago talking about features that orgs need for proper gameplay to exist, and it seems like they checked every box. So I am super thrilled that this is getting a much needed revision. Comms link are going to be better. VoIP is going to get better. I was even excited about the FOIP, which I was kind of surprised because that has always been a throwaway feature in my mind, but they showed how well they have it working, and it's really impressive. In the Brave New Worlds demonstration, which I'm kind of going back in time now, they actually started off showing off plants. And that sounds so boring when you say it like that, right? But it was actually really, really cool. If you look at games today, you see that foliage density is one of the main limiting factors to immersive biomes. I mean, the only place that has truly dense foliage that presents a challenge in navigating is Minecraft, and that's not exactly setting the bar very high. But they were able to show how, compared to what we have today, what we'll have tomorrow as far as density of foliage and fauna and different types of biodiversity, it's unreal. We saw swamps, jungles, redwood forests with massive sequoias, distinct plants in each of those biomes. We saw interactions with water. I mean, they showed that you could be wading through water and you bump a log and the log moves. That alone, there's a lot of really interesting gameplay tie-ins possible because of that. You know, what if you have a puzzle where you have to walk across logs, but you got to get them lined up or you're not getting to where you need to go? And maybe you don't want to get in the water because it's not actually water, but acid, right? You know, just off the cuff idea there. Then they showed Beyond Pyro. And I mean, we all knew that we weren't going to see a lot of pyro in this presentation. We've been seeing tons of pyro all year round. So it would be a huge misstep if they showed anything about pyro. So this was squarely focused on Beyond Pyro, and it was very, very cool. Our third system was revealed. It's going to be Nyx. We'll be getting Levski Station back, and it's seen a major refresh to how it looks. The way it integrates into the universe is different. It's now actually an asteroid base instead of a teeny tiny moon. It looks fantastic. The assets, top tier, and you can tell that as they're reintroducing this old location, but basically built from scratch again, you can see a lot more consideration for the gameplay, the way that it plays out now. I think that we're in a really good spot where a lot of the gameplay is by and large figured out from an interaction standpoint. And so now it's just about supporting that to the fullest extent. And so Levski is going to feel a lot more complete than what we have currently in Stanton. But as they bring those changes back to Stanton and Pyro, I think that we're going to be pretty happy. And then the fourth system, kind of surprising everybody, wasn't Odin, it wasn't Terra, Castra. And it looks amazing. I felt like it really gave me Mount Olympus, Home of the Gods vibes. I said that on stream, but you have a upper and a lower tier of cloud cover, and it just looks so beautiful. You have this very brutalist architecture as a result of it being a military hotspot for the UEE. It's a staging ground for when we had our Xi'an human war, and the artwork is on another level. It is so cool to look at. They have these orbital cannons stationed around. You see this large main causeway for ships to enter and dock. It looks so good. I'm so excited. And the drama of these steep, pointy cliff faces poking out of the first level of clouds and scraping the bottom of the next level. It is an ethereal looking place. Absolutely beautiful. So excited to go there. And then we get to the redacted section, which, everybody knew it was going to be squadron focused, right? What we didn't know was that we were getting over an hour of gameplay right from the start of the game. This wasn't just the first 15 minutes like you see on IGN or a lot of these other journalism sites. We got a full hour playthrough, and it looked really, really good. Some people, I think, well, and I've actually already seen it. I've seen some creators critique the idea that it seemed too easy. You're largely, the gameplay that you're mostly participating in is fighting from a turret on a javelin, and it's really cool. And I think that it's very visually attractive. I think a lot of people are maybe missing some key details. One of them being that Richard Tyre, he's played this level probably hundreds of times at this point, right? So if there is, I mean, when you're watching someone speed run a game, right? They already know where the enemy is going to spawn. They already know where they're supposed to be. They know the route. They know everything, right? So nothing is surprising. And you watch a speedrunner, it's very boring from a story perspective because everything is very scripted. Like, they already know what's going to happen, right? There's no surprises. But I think what people are forgetting is that we don't have that benefit. When we're playing this, we're going to be discovering these things for ourselves. We don't have the muscle memory Richard Tyre has, and a lot of players have never played Star Citizen at all. And that's what Squadron 42 is going to do. It's going to bring a lot of new players into the game. Things like the virtual joystick that you use for guiding a turret, they've never played with that. And so it's a totally foreign concept to them. Now, it builds on things that exist in other games, but learning the unique mechanics of Star Citizen, I think what we saw was a great example of what a tutorial level really ought to be for Star Citizen. And I am completely satisfied with what I saw. Now, there was, of course, some hiccups, right? It wasn't perfect. They had 3 crashes, I think it was, but they did it live. And I think Richard Tyre said it best. The crashes show that it wasn't faked. It was Star Citizen, Squadron 42, warts and all. The cinematic sequences were movie quality. It was unreal how amazing everything looked. The acting was top tier. The sound, the music from Pedro, everything was perfect. It was exactly what I would hope to see from a Squadron 42 level 1. And we're going to get a 30 to 40 hour campaign out of this. I think that there's going to be a lot of replay value there. Even though it is just a single player game, I think that I'm probably going to be spending a lot more than 40 hours in Squadron 42. Oh, and they also showed some of the things that they've got planned for Stanton in Area 18, and it's really cool. They showed, well, Area 18 is a ecumenopolis, much like Coruscant in Star Wars, and there's many other examples across sci-fi, right? But right now, we only explore the surface level of Area 18, and with that, it's actually just Area 18. But Area 18 is part of the larger ArcCorp planet. It's supposed to be a massive cityscape that we can explore, and we have access to so little of it at the moment. But they talked about their plans to really expand on this, and I think that the way that they're going about it, really, really cool. You'll have access points in various locations in Area 18. You get into these, it's basically an elevator, takes you down to the sub-levels of ArcCorp, and now you're in an instance location where you can have curated content for just you and whoever you bring along with you. And I talked about this in a previous video. This goes a long way towards solving a lot of the hiccups that you have between PvP, PvE, but also making PvE rewarding and fun and challenging and unique each time. Picture for a moment you're doing a bunker mission. Someone's been there recently before you, so you get down there, there's corpses all over the floor. It already kind of kills the immersion that there's a threat there, that there's something going on. You know the loot's already been picked through, so your motivation is already kind of down because it's like, man, I'm not even gonna get any cool stuff out of this. And yeah, you get to kill some baddies. That's it, right? It really kneecaps a lot of the allure of doing a bunker mission, but in an instance location, it's new every time. You go down there, all the NPCs are there. They haven't been interacted with. It's a mission just for you and your party. And that is really cool. Imagine raid locations, right? You go into a distribution center, you do a raid as a party, and no one can bother you. It's your party raid. It fixes a lot of the issues that we have with the PvE open world aspect of things, because now you can actually have private experiences. It's really important that we have that MMO feel, but also it's equally important to have good, tailored, curated experiences. And this is how you can ensure story beats play out the way that they're supposed to in a persistent universe. So I am super excited about this. It's hard not to feel like I kind of called that one, because to me it was such an obvious idea, and I felt so sure that CIG was going to jump on it eventually, and they did. And I feel great about that. And so I am really excited for the future of ArcCorp. I think you're going to see me in the sewers and the further basement levels of ArcCorp quite a bit on the channel. I could keep going on and on, but then I'm going to be talking for 8 hours, and I have a whole year's of content to try and milk out of this. So I will catch you back here tomorrow. 12 p.m. MST is when I'll be beginning my coverage of day 2 of Citizencon. I hope to see you there. This is Odd Job Entertainment, signing off.